Yeah, no, not significantly different from watching the tape. Our defense played really hard, did some good things. On offense, I thought our pass protection was pretty darn solid, and I thought gave Jake a chance to set his feet and throw some decent balls downfield. Thought he saw the field pretty well, and overall, I think we made some progress there. And like I said after the game, if we can continue to practice hard and improve, that's just going to be so critical with this crew that we have. And if we can do that, we can feel okay about ourselves.
What are you seeing, Jake, just from the Boise game to week 3 as far as progress, as far as comfort level, confidence, the whole package from him?
Well, I think it starts with the entire offense being able to stay on the field a little bit. And I think when anybody gets into a rhythm, which he has done that a little bit, he starts to get into a rhythm and he can set his feet. He's going to throw some good balls. But I do think he's getting a little more comfortable. He's being out there, feeling the rush, seeing different blitzes, those type of things.
His ability to escape the rush and get away from that, I mean, that's something I don't think a whole lot of people expected. Touchdown pass to Sample was a good example of that. I mean, did you see that coming, I guess, from the guy you recruited, and I guess how impressive has that been?
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily what we thought of as being one of the strengths, but I think anytime a guy can get some things done with his feet, especially when we know he's a pocket passer, is always going to be a benefit. And so I think he's better than we probably thought he was. And we always talk about that. There's going to be times where the defense actually covers things that we don't have them, and if they can create a little bit, that does make it awful hard, really hard on the defense. Utah State does a great job on the goal line and doesn't bite on things and keeps things alive, and then those can be hard to cover on defense.
You mentioned the pass protection, Chris. What about the overall performance of the offensive line?
Yeah, I thought those guys did a good job. I mean, my hat's off to Coleman Shelton. That kid played the entire game at left tackle, and he's played there 2 days in his entire life.
Left guard.
Left guard, sorry about that. Yeah, because he's played everything else. We really have. We've moved him kind of all over, even though, he may not have shown up there yet in a game. But the one place that we really hadn't had him was left guard. And so he did a great job. I mean, he really did, and competed hard, and we were really proud of him. But then those other guys, Seif in the middle, calling the signals, and those other freshmen, I thought they did a good job for the first time all out there together. Can we improve? Absolutely. Do we need to improve? For sure. But I thought the first time out of the gate they were pretty good.
What did you hope to accomplish with the changes, and how close did you get?
Putting our best guys out there. It gives our best chance to win. And so, I think that was accomplished there. And so, even some of the other guys that are, how Coach Strauss is rotating those guys that are backups. I mean, those guys are going to continue to get better. I mean, Shane Brostick's a junior, but he hasn't played a ton as well. And then, Matt James in there, and some of those other guys as well. Andrew Kirkland, they haven't played. So all those guys, they're going to continue to get better.
Coach, you're starting your non-conference play this week. The Pac-12 went undefeated in non-conference play, and then Stanford defeated USC. What are your thoughts as you start conference play?
I think it's no different than I thought. I mean, this is a really, really hard, good conference. And I think each week you're just going to see some really hard-fought games. I think some of the scores are going to come out different than people predicted. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with how people stay healthy throughout the course of the year. But it's exactly what I thought.
Chris, the idea of using Lindquist near the goal line, do you see that package continuing, and what did you see happen on that?
Yeah, I mean, they got a hand in there, and one of those awkward deals where the ball popped out, and they got a good bounce, and away they went. But, we got to be able to use all of our people in creative ways. I thought Jonathan Smith did a great job of being really creative with our offense. And, we got a really difficult blitzing team, throws a lot of different blitzes at you. And, he did some things to keep those guys off balance, make our pass game really explosive. And so there's going to be continue, like how do we use our people to keep them off balance, whether that continues or not, kind of be week to week.
Is there a balance there with just not wanting to take Jake off the field when he's playing as well as he has been?
It depends what play we're called. Jake's not better than some of our other guys on certain plays, and so we'll try to put our best personnel on there.
Concern is the run game, or you chalked up some of that to Utah State. You knew Utah State was going to be pretty stout in that regard.
Well, whoever you chalk it up to, it's a concern. I mean, we definitely need to run the ball better than we have, and it doesn't. I can be a broken record all year. I mean, if we don't run the ball better, I'm going to be saying the same thing, and so we'll continue to work hard on it, and continue to try to come up with answers for our guys. Give them a chance to be successful, but there's no question it needs to be better.
What are the issues that you see when you watch the tape after the game?
I think it's I really think it's newness. Newness of some guys being out there playing together. I do think from kind of where we were a couple of weeks ago, playing Trey Adams, we weren't going to put him on the field a couple of weeks ago. Now I played 60 whatever snaps, and so that's a lot of progress right there. And so just each week, if we can have progress, that they know their assignment now pretty solidly, but now can they attack their assignment? Can they attack their guy without? And so we'll keep working on that.
Chris, any update on Eldrin Camp and Buda Baker?
Yeah, both those guys, they'll be week to week. I mean, we'll just kind of see how that goes. And, they're certainly not out for the season, week to week.
How much of a challenge is going to be face Jared Goff and Cal's passing attack?
I mean, those guys are very, very good. I mean, I think that whole offense has taken the next step, next level. I mean, they were prolific last year. I think their line's better. They got a bunch of backs that run really hard, and he is good. I mean, he is really, really good. He can, gets it out really fast, but then he'll hang in the pocket and he'll sit on his back foot, and that guy can throw it down the field 40 yards on his back foot. I mean, on a line. So they're good.
Is there any concern with either Jake or Buda that it could be longer than a week?
Week to week. That's how it is. Week to week.
Do you see any similarities between Jake and Jared Goff as far as like being pure progression passer?
Being what?
As far as their ability to read their progressions?
Yeah, that's hard to say. I mean, you got a guy that's played 3 years, and have another guy's played 3 games, and so it's kind of hard to make that comparison right now. I mean, I think Goff is one of the best in the country without question. So it's kind of hard to make that comparison.
What do you think is most impressive about Goff?
He can make all the throws, and he gets it out very quickly, but then he'll stay in the pocket, and he can deliver the ball sitting on his back foot downfield. Most guys hang on to him. I mean, you got to hitch up to get that ball out there. He does not need to do that. I thought he made 2 really, really big runs, scrambles in the Texas game, so he can obviously run. He's not a guy that can't get out of the rush's way. So, but he's a guy that's. I think that's why the NFL guys are so excited about him. Because he's big and athletic, but he's a guy that just hangs in there and throws it all over.
You see a different player when you look at him than when you were scouting them last season?
I think their whole offense is different. I just think it's the next. They've been doing it now a couple 3 years, and with a lot of those same players. So again, I just kind of go across the board. I think their O-line and their run game is better than it was. And then, Kenny Lawler and Treggs and those guys have been around there for a while. And, I mean, they really execute that offense at a high, high level. So I think it's kind of all of them and all together, but I think they've probably all gotten better.
Still looks like their defense is susceptible to giving up some points. have you seen in terms of maybe some changes from last year to this year?
Yeah, and so it's still a little early. Still studying, their whole packet. And I haven't got to everybody yet, but I think they're much improved on that side too. Again, I think it's the second year with the system, and I think they're playing better defense. In terms of the specifics and those type of things, we're still a little bit, like I said, in game plan mode, and I still haven't got to all the tape I need to come with a strong opinion on that. But I do know from what I've seen that they look different than they did last year.
Chris, Jake was, I think, like 12 for 14, a buck 80, a couple scores after the pick.
Yeah.
And can you just talk about kind of how you've seen him react to going back to Boise and then Saturday? Does he react like a typical freshman to mistakes like that? What have you seen from his demeanor on the sideline, things like that?
Yeah. I don't really ever get caught up in the, does he act like a freshman? This guy's like a first-time coach. This guy's like this age. I way back when I first became a head coach, there was 2 coordinators we hired that were 29 years old. And I didn't even know that until about 2 months later. Everybody's jumping up and down. It was so like, how can you hire guys this young? And it's Brian Harsin, Justin Wilcox. It just has to do with maturity and experience is important, but what's their demeanor? What's their work ethic? How do they handle things? And so I think about that with Jake. He's just kind of always the same. I don't think of him as like a real young guy. Now, does he have a ton of experience? No, but he's always been very mature from everything ever since we've been around him, since a young guy in high school. If that makes sense.
I guess, does he seek you out? Do you seek him out? Does he kind of, hey, what did I do wrong there? How does he?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes, if it's a blatant thing, we'll be seeking him out real quickly. But he's always very inquisitive. The whole time he's on it. He's like analyzing everything coming off the field. Really is how it should be. It's like whether it was to play 3 plays earlier that he didn't go just right. He's always got a question. He's always wondering and thinking.
How much is that? I'm sorry. How much is that you talking to him, and how much is that Jonathan talking with him?
Well, Jonathan talks to him the most, without question. They spend the majority of the time together, and so it's probably better if those 2 guys talk. Sometimes, when I'm talking to him, I can see blatant things. It's pretty easy sometimes to see it from the sideline when I'm not getting rushed and pressured and all those type of things. But he's got a good demeanor. But it's it's going to get harder. That we know. The schedule continues to get harder, and so he'll see some more difficult things, and teammates are going to have to step up for him and pass protect a little bit better, and we're going to have to run the ball, and then the receivers are going to have to make plays and to give him a chance. Everybody wants to talk about him, and he's done some good things, but some guys around him have done some good things. But as it gets tougher, everybody else has to help him out.
With Jake learning so much every week now, his learning curve going so high, is there a danger of paralysis by analysis? Can you maybe get to a point where you're oversaturated?
Yeah, I think you can, and not only for like one person. I think you can, all of a sudden if you confuse somebody else on your offense, it takes that one guy to break down, on this play and one guy on that play. So, I think you can. We definitely are very aware of that, and we're always trying to push the envelope. But the guy's got to be able to play fast and not think a ton. Hopefully, what's happening is as you go through the season, there's reoccurring themes in terms of schemes and concepts that you've done, and you repackage them a certain way, and they get more comfortable as you go on. Give the defense enough new things, a few new things to think about. But I think that's always the game as you go through the season. So I'm hoping that it goes a little bit the other way. That everybody gets more comfortable with the things we're doing.
Have you noticed that? Does he get any assistance maybe from some of the seniors out there, like a Sifa or a Jadon, or just to kind of make sure that everyone's on the same page?
I think that everybody's kind of so concerned with their own world out there that I don't think it's really those guys coming back. If there might be a route, some of those guys will talk to them. Protection-wise, usually there's so many different things going on that we'll try to help him out there to make sure that it's like, hey, that you're not responsible for that. That was somebody else that should have been protected. Those type of things. I think it's much more the coaches talking to the quarterback than the other guys. Now, you know, I mean, the receivers, they're probably open every single snap, and he's probably getting that in his ear from the side, you know. You not seeing me? I'm open. You know how that goes.
Also, I was just curious, when you have a true freshman quarterback there, did you ever give any thought or consideration to maybe putting Coach Smith on the field so that there was direct contact there and maybe a little bit more of a comfort level?
Yeah, I think there's always some merit in those type of things, but they can, you know, he can't necessarily talk to him when he's on the field anyways, and so they can talk right after, and they do each series. But I think it's important for, you know, the coordinator to really see what is happening from a different vantage point than on the sideline. You know, I kind of liked it sometimes when I was the coordinator, and I never was on the field during games, but I thought hard about it because during scrimmages and those type of things, I couldn't see what was going on, and so I wasn't nearly as irritated and mad because I didn't know who to be mad at. So I thought about maybe I should, because every play I'd be mad upstairs because I knew exactly what happened. But I think somebody needs to be up there to be able to be the clear picture eyes up there for everybody else.
Is Jeff your backup quarterback right now? Somewhere to happen to Jake?
You know, I think we're competing each week with those guys, and to tell you the truth, I'm not really exactly sure where we are with that. Yeah.
Chris, do you plan to get Tristan Viscano a few more carries this game?
Yes, we do. So everybody better back off when he's on the field. That's an affirmative yes.
Did you see something on the fake field goal? Did you guys see something on tape that led to
Yeah,
that? Or is that
yeah, Coach Choate did, for sure. Very aggressive block team. And so we were looking for a certain look, and we got it. Again, credit to Coach Choate, credit to Jeff Lindquist to see it, because if we didn't have it, we probably would have got out of it. Both saw it, away we went.
From a mechanic standpoint, can the kicker actually be called for a false start?
Good question. Probably. You know, I think if you reset, you're probably okay. You're in the backfield, but you probably can be. I don't know how many times that's been called. Usually it just throws their stride off and all those type of things.
Did you speak to the members of Brandon Beaver's convoy down the sideline as to why they didn't block?
Well, you know what? There was just one guy that we should have blocked, obviously. Some other guys were doing some nice things in terms of screening guys off and not taking shots. And one of our guys was kind of looking like this, and you know, he's running, looking over his shoulder. The guy came up on his opposite shoulder and made a play right then and there. And so we showed the team that. I thought there's some really smart kind of screening, no blocks on there. But I also think we can learn some things from it that, hey, we still need to, you know, those guys are going to play hard too. You know, something happens like that, they're not going to have guys shut it down. They're going to keep chasing, and there's some fast people on the field. And so I think that was a good one to, there's always a fine line between, do you really need that block? Sometimes we do. And then most of the time we don't. So we looked at that and learned some things.
Anything else, everybody? All right, thanks everybody.
Okay. Thank you guys.